Hello again, basketball fans. We welcome you to the Auto Trader pregame show. Rick Kamla was Senior Associate Commissioner of the Big East, also former NBA coach and executive Stu Jackson, and we are here to get the party started on a 9-game Friday, including a doubleheader on NBA TV. Following Hawks and Cavs, it'll be the Thunder running with the Suns in Phoenix. And Stu, it is another chance for Russell Westbrook to pass Oscar Robertson for the most triple-doubles in a single season. Did you think that we would be here ever talking about this, ever?
Never. Particularly, this year where Russell has just seemingly amazed us night after night for the entire season with his energy, his performance, and his competitiveness. I haven't seen anything like it in, the 30-plus years I've been involved in the NBA.
I haven't been involved with the NBA that long. I haven't seen anything like it either. Now, back in 61-62, Oscar had 41 triple-doubles, a record previously viewed as untouchable. And Westbrook tonight with 6 assists. That's all he needs, 6 assists. He will be guaranteed to average a triple-double for the season. Right now, Stu, he is averaging 31.8 points, leads the league, 10.7 rebounds, and 10.4 assists. Staggering numbers.
Staggering numbers, and he's been great of late. I believe 8 out of his last 9 games he's had triple-doubles. And, it comes at a time where they're continuing to try to establish themselves in terms of a playoff spot. And when you look at these numbers, the way that he's done it compared to Oscar, in 35 minutes to average this many points, rebounds, and assists is astounding. And, quite frankly, tonight, I'm his biggest fan. I hope he gets the 6 assists and guarantees him, the triple-double for the season.
And I'm absolutely blown away that Oscar Robertson averaged 44.3 minutes back in 61-62. Blown away. That means he rested less than 4 minutes per game, and maybe there were some overtimes in there, but that's amazing. I mean, that may be an all-time record for minutes played in a season. But in terms of the difference there between Oscar and Russ, that is very noteworthy. I want to ask you this, Stu. In what ways are the games of Russell Westbrook and Oscar Robertson comparable?
Well, they're comparable in this regard. Both players had a very high usage rate. In other words, they have the basketball in their hand. Both of them are leaders of their basketball team and the central focus or feature of that basketball team. I think the real differences come in at the pace with which they play. Oscar was the master at controlling tempo of a basketball game. It was clearly he was the focal point, not only of his own team, but just of the game. You could really feel his presence in that way. When I say he tempoed the game, he also was a bit of a, mid-range shooter, a little bit more than Russell. We see Russell night after night. We know he's a terror on the break, a great layup shooter. He also shoots the ball well from deep. Plays the game with a lot more energy and a speed, perhaps, that Oscar didn't play with during his time.
Very interesting stuff. And so you're saying intangibly they have a lot in common, tangibly not that much in common, and both doing a very uncommon thing. Oscar 55 years ago, and Russ has a chance to do it tonight. And I like his chances of getting the triple-double tonight. It's not just that Phoenix is one of the bottom teams in the NBA. He's averaging head up with Phoenix this year, 41.7 points, 13.7 rebounds, and 13.7 assists. That is actually not his best stat line head-to-head with an opponent. He has tormented the Magic to the tune of 49, 12, and 13. But he's gone 41, 14, and 14 basically against the Suns. I like his chances tonight.
I like his chances too, particularly because the Suns, if you look at the way that they're structured, their style of play, they don't offer the same defensive resistance against Russell Westbrook that perhaps he'll find in the upcoming playoffs. So, because the pace of the game will be up, the defensive rotations may not be there. There's going to be a wide open lane. He'll be able to play the game, as we mentioned before, with full court length pace. I like his chances to get the points. I like his chances to open up the lane, get rebounding, and we'll just hope for those 6 assists.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Phoenix either in terms of making this a competitive game. Booker just had 70 recently, and Tyler Ulis just had a 34-point game recently. So Phoenix has some nice young talent. There should be a good one later on tonight on NBA TV. So let's talk MVP. Where have you – take me through your trajectory all year. Have you been kind of vacillating between Russ and Harden? Have you always been Russ? Is the triple-double enough to just for you to say, yep, Russ is the MVP? Where are you at with that?
Well, where I am is, look, the MVP vote has always focused on a target that we never hit. We don't know whether it's the best player, Is it the best player on the best team? Is it just the best player over time, somebody like LeBron? So you have a great deal of flexibility in terms of which way you go with your vote. For me, the process has been a really easy one, and I've been very candid about that. And when it appeared at the halfway mark that the potential was there for Russell Westbrook to average a triple-double for the season, at that point for me, it's counterintuitive for me, if I were to have a vote, to say that a guy that averages a triple-double and is about to do something that hasn't been done in decades, to not call him the MVP, to me, is totally counterintuitive. How do you do it? And that's in the face of Harden, who has had an outstanding year and amassed a number of triple-doubles himself. His team has won more games. I mean, certainly they're the darling improvement team of the season. No one will deny that. But this guy, with the level of competitiveness, energy, and performance and execution, to call him not the MVP is really tough for me.
Is Harden number 2 on your list?
Without question.
Is he close to Russ for you? Or is there a separation there?
He's close. There's no question. But listen, you can't take out of the equation, again, I point out the MVP vote has different facets to it depending on your philosophy. I also put Kawhi Leonard in that, with those three, just simply because he's so good on both sides of the ball, arguably a better defender than both of them. Certainly he scores the basketball, and his team has won more than both Houston and Oklahoma City. So it's a three-prong approach. And then, when you say that, someone out there is going to say, well, what about LeBron? And he has to be in the conversation anyway. And as I alluded to earlier, he's the best player in the league. We know that, best player on the planet, and is always going to be in the MVP conversation.
And LeBron is having an absolutely ridiculous stat season himself, going 26.3 points. That's not ridiculous, but what is career highs in rebounds, 8.5, in assists, 8.7.
Yeah, and to go along with that, he's played extremely high minutes, and perhaps more minutes than the Cavaliers would have wanted to. It'll be interesting in the playoffs to see if that kind of shows its head, just a little bit in terms of his own fatigue. But again, an outstanding season. It's just the performances of Harden and Russell have just been at such a high level and doing something unprecedented that we haven't seen in the association in recent memory, and they have to be the top 2 candidates.
There are some players in the NBA that flip the switch. They turn it on, they turn it off, they're in cruise control mode, and then they trigger into playoff mode. Russell Westbrook isn't that guy. It seems like he has one gear, one speed, downhill all the time. Does he have the ability to take his game? He's been sensational all year. Is there another level for him to go to in the playoffs, or is he just going to keep playing at this same level into the playoffs?
Well, that will be interesting. He's capable of doing it, but the one aspect of competition that's different in the playoffs, unlike the regular season, is the fact that teams have, multiple days to prepare. And you're playing against the best competition you're going to face all year. There are no easy wins in the playoffs, regardless of what seed you're in. And having that ability to actually prepare, the Westbrook rules, so to speak, a la the Jordan rules, I think is going to be a little bit of a deterrent to him. And if he's able to take his game to another level, like Jordan, it will only come because he makes a decision that he's not only going to be the engine to his team, but also the distributor on his team and start to make other players around him better. That way, I think you take the Oklahoma City Thunder to another level and you have a chance to make a run in the playoffs against ever-changing defenses.
Well, right now you look at the West, 3 Houston, 6 OKC. Bring it on.